Now that your TypingMind is set up and you're ready to start working smarter, today I'm going to give you 3 pro-level prompts that will instantly up your writing, brainstorming, and research game with features that only TypingMind makes easy. A good prompt isn't just asking a question, it's how you direct the AI, clarify what you want, and get the results you actually need. TypingMind lets you save and reuse those magic formulas, so you're not reinventing the wheel each time. Do you ever get generic, wordy emails or posts? A plain prompt like this, draft a summary of this meeting, that prompt is going to yield a soulless, generic response in ChatGPT. Let's find out. 9 a.m. discussed the party for wife's mother. Okay, so this prompt wasn't it basically gave us a template for filling our meeting minutes in. We didn't give it a lot of information, so that's understandable. What if I just want to be able to use a meeting summary all the time? So in order to do that, we're going to come over here to our prompts, and the prompt library right now is empty, but we are going to do this. We're going to add a prompt, and we're going to call it meeting summary. Okay. And we are going to copy this over. Okay. Write a professional but friendly summary of this meeting. Focus on next steps. Use bullet points, no jargon, and suggest a positive CTA at the end. And CTA, if you don't know, is a call to action. So it'll be the next step. Okay. So we're going to save that. And let's go through the tips real quick. We have not gone through these in kind of detail. So tip 1, how to use Q for prompt chaining. Use 4 dashes to separate different sections of a queue. Okay, so that's between the lines, between the rows. So task 1, and then the next row down is the 4 lines, and then task 2 is the third row. Okay, so how to mention AI agents. So if you want to call an agent from inside a prompt, we're going to use the little @ symbol, the agent name, to add a specific AI agent into the conversation. So example, hey, @marketing expert, can you help create a business plan for this quarter? You can mention multiple agents using Q syntax. So @research analyst, what is the recent data on smartphone sales? Then you're going to put in your 4 dashes. So that's indicating that we're doing the next thing. @marketing expert, based on the data, propose a marketing strategy. So first, we want to get the data. That's one agent. That's our research analyst. And then the next agent is going to be the marketing expert, and he's going to actually do something with the data. Or she, however you want to call your agents. Okay, so variables, custom variables are inside the 2 squiggly brackets, and that's the variable name for dynamic content in templates. So example, I want you to act as an English pronunciation assistant. My first sentence is, and then when you put in the squiggly brackets, that's asking for a variable, so the prompt is going to wait for you to give it that content. And we can see there's some examples up here too in the prompt. And that you're making that up. So whatever it is that you would want to have, the prompt ask you to fill in, that's going to be your variable. Use the exact variable, so in this case local date, to allow the AI to retrieve the current date. So in our example for the meeting, get all my meetings this week from Google Calendar. Today's date is, and you give it the date. And that way it's got some context as to what week of calendar you're looking for. And I will say, at this point, AI and dates and times can be a little wonky. I don't always assume it knows what today is. If you start something like that where you're going to do a date, I would ask it. Just like asking it what color socks it's wearing. But anyway, I digress. All right, back to our plan. So now we have our prompts that we put in here, and we did not use any variables at this point. We just asked it to write a brief summary, focus on the next steps. We want it professional, but we want it friendly. Now we're going to add this prompt, and we didn't do tags or anything yet. That's coming up. But for now, we'll just add this. We've named it meeting summary, and let's use it now. Okay, I just went right back to the chat that we were currently in. If I wanted to do a new chat, we could actually call that prompt from the chat, and we'll get to that later. So we're going to hit send. Okay, so now this is a much different kind of response. It's much shorter, it's much more direct, it's much more to the point. And we still haven't given it any more information than we're planning a party for my wife's mother. That's all the information it has at this point. But this is professional and friendly, so it's narrowed it down to much less than what we had before. So it was definitely guessing a little bit more here. Now that we've given it a prompt, it's honed in a little bit. And I won't read the prompt. If you want to read it, it's here. Okay, so now let's just go back and make sure that's actually in our library. And it is. It's ready to go. Okay, so that's our first demo of a prompt. No variables, just a very simple prompt in reality. So now let's do a brainstorming prompt with variables. So the problem, when I need ideas, it's easy to draw a blank or to get too many blah answers. So we're going to add another prompt, and I'm going to call this one brainstorming prompt with, I'm not putting in descriptions. We could do that. That's an optional thing. But the actual prompt I want is this here, which we wrote earlier. Brainstorm a number of creative ideas for a topic, highlighting pros and cons for each. Okay, and we don't need to go through the tips again. So we're going to add the prompt. Okay, so now we have two prompts. And notice when we hover, it's showing us that there's two variables in this prompt. So if we open it up, we can see number, topic, those are our variables. We haven't made any changes, so we're going to close that out. Now we want to use it. Now, I probably want to use it in a new chat. So we called this brainstorm prompt with variables. So let's get a little fancy here. And if you notice down here, it says type the backslash for shortcuts. So if we do backslash, you'll see that we're able to select out of our agents, our prompt library, and our output settings. So if I just click prompt library, it gives me the option to use either the prompts that are in the library. We also have community prompts, which there's 189 of those. So there's tons and tons of these that TypingMind and the community have added. But let's stick to our example for now. We want to do the brainstorm prompt with the variable, and we're going to use this prompt. Okay, so now we see brainstorm, question, variable, creative ideas for question, topic, highlights, pros, and cons for each. All right, so if I hit send on this, you see it's asking me for the first variable. Specify the number of ideas you'd like and the topic you're interested in. Let's ask it for 5 ideas about a busy retirement lifestyle, but no work. Cultural immersion and language learning, volunteer work and community service, hobby development and master classes, health and wellness retreats, gardening and sustainable living projects. Pros and cons of each. So pros of the sustainable living projects: encourages an active lifestyle and connection with nature, possibilities to grow fresh produce, promoting healthier eating habits, which goes back to number 4, can be a long-term satisfying project to engage in daily. Cons: there's seasonal limitations, which might affect your gardening activities. Physical labor may be demanding, depending on the scale of the projects. That seems pretty reasonable. So obviously with context, it's able to come up with more, and you can see how the variables worked. It asked us for the number, we said 5, and then this was on point for the topic. Okay, so you see how that prompt is reusable in many, many different situations, and it's still pretty generic, but bear with me. We're gonna do some deeper stuff. So, all right, next we're gonna do a research prompt in chaining. So, once again, tired of the generic results or wish you could get straight from the question to an action plan. So in this next prompt, we're going to add to the library, back here to the prompts. We're going to add another one, and we're going to call this one research prompt and chaining. Okay. I'm going to bring my prompt over that we wrote out earlier. So first, summarize the most recent information about, using the variable topic again, using web search. Next, list 3 real-world tips or resources that I could use right now. Okay, Super Bowl, 2 words, 2024. Now it's thinking, and you can see that it did a web search. It's saying, hey, I know all about Super Bowl 24. Do you want to know more? We can tell you more about it. And it's going to start sending you off to specific articles. Okay. All right, so now let's look at our 3 prompts again so we can see them and compare them. All right, first one, no variable at all, just, summarize this thing I'm going to give you and make it positive and make it professional and friendly. And it did that. It actually did better than when we just said, hey, give me this meeting agenda that you weren't at and I'm giving you 0 information about. Next one, brainstorm a number of creative ideas for a topic and give me the pros and cons for each. Okay, well that's not terribly difficult, but it's also not the type of thing you want to write over and over and over again when now you've just got it built in. Lastly, first summarize the most recent information about a topic and then use web search if you don't have good information. And then once you've done the web search, list 3 real-world tips or resources that I can use right now. So this is very helpful to me right now. That's that call to action saying, don't give me generic whatever. Give me something I can go do right now. I can get up out of my chair and go do this, whatever this thing is that you come up with. Let's see what it did actually come up with back on our Super Bowl 2024. It said you can experience the local Super Bowl party. That's great, except 2024 passed. I guess this is thinking forward. Online streaming services. So take advantage of online streaming services that may offer highlights or replays of the game. So you're in a coma and you still want to know what the game is like. You know who won. That's easy. But I want to know the play-by-play. Okay. That's a reasonable suggestion. Visit the team fan stores. Go get some GAC. Go get some gear. Support your team. That kind of makes sense. Really, this was just to demonstrate, how you can start building prompts. These are not great prompts by any stretch of the imagination. But if you've ever started kind of building, notepad documents of prompts on the side and said, I wrote a really good prompt the other day, but I cannot remember where it was. Well, this is a way to do that. And if you're just chatting with ChatGPT, I'm very conversational with it. I wouldn't necessarily go for a prompt. I would just say, hey, I want to know about this. And it would talk to me as if we were buddies. But if I'm programming and coding and building something that's going to be repeatable over and over and over and over again, I'm not doing conversational on that. Here's the data, pull out the dates and the amounts for every single row. Yes, I know it's very messy. That's a prompt that I wouldn't want to type over and over and again, but it's a prompt that I would use probably pretty often. So, okay. Hopefully you found value in that. Our next video is going to be about tags, so check that out. And, let me know what you think down below. Give me your best prompt. Tell me what you like to do in terms of writing prompts. What are you working on? Put all that down in the comments.